wanna rock! All right, what is up, guys? Welcome to Rockapedia. Of course, this is the producer here with you guys, joined by Gypsy Joe. How are you doing today, Joe?
Hanging in there.
Not bad, not bad. And of course, special guest Michael J. Lacey. How are you doing today, sir?
Super good.
All right, so
How are
And
you,
the ladies all call him Michael J. Lacey Jr.
Michael
Oh,
Lacey Jr. That
throw
was
in the
actually
junior
good,
at the end.
man.
Good stuff.
Throw
We've
in
had
the
Mike on the
intro.
show here before, and I'll leave it to you guys to take it away, catch up, and give us some info on rock and roll. So with that, guys, I'll leave you to it.
All right.
Wow.
How you been, man? Dylan just left us. We're hanging.
Well, I'm
in
right here.
space right
I'm
now.
always right here. Don't you worry. I'm always right here. I'm listening.
You got to keep us in check.
Right?
So, Mr.
That's
Lacey,
important. Yes,
what was
sir.
that guitar you were just showing me? What was that? I didn't
Oh,
see.
yeah, dude. I was giving you a piece of history here. This is my Steve Vai Ibanez Gem 777 that was actually signed by Steve Vai himself when I met him in Kansas City. Guess you
Oh,
can't
was it
really-
like was it a show, like a trade show or something?
No, he was up there playing with Devin Townsend. Remember the Sex and Religion tour that came out right after
I do remember that.
right after Passion and Warfare, and he was on tour with a band, and we went up to the Bottleneck in Westport to see him. And Aaron Brown, do you remember Aaron Brown from here in Wichita?
I do know that. Yeah.
Aaron Brown was his roommate at the Berklee School of Music, and Aaron Brown did the artwork for the Passion and Warfare album cover.
Okay.
And we had the original artwork, and Aaron Brown was supposed to come up to Kansas City to have Steve Vai sign it for him and give him a copy, and he couldn't come. So it turns out a friend of mine was commissioned with the task, so to speak. So we went up there and saw the show, and then went out to Steve Vai's bus and held up the original piece of artwork for the Passion and Warfare album. And Steve Vai, of course, came immediately out and was like, "Where's Aaron?" And we were like, "Hey, Aaron couldn't make it, so we're here." Yeah, exactly. But no, it was really cool. We got to do this whole meet and greet with Steve Vai, and I had the guitar, and he signed it for me, and he actually sat there and signed everything we owned at that point. I was like, "Can you sign my shirt and my shoe and my whatever?"
Sign my head.
Yeah, it was very cool, and it was one of those moments where, and I think that's funny. I think me and Mike even touched upon that. It's like, here I was meeting my hero at the time, and I had absolutely nothing intelligent to say whatsoever. I just stood there
happens, man.
Oh wow, dude! You're a moron. And it's so funny. People go, "Well, is there anybody that you ever wanted to meet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really would have liked to meet Prince." And then I'm like, "No, probably bad idea." I mean, what would you say to Prince? I mean, what do you have to talk about? I would have just been standing there going,
You'd just be like, "Man, you're really short."
Yeah.
What year?
Like something stupid, like gosh, dude, you really look like you're good at sex or something.
What year was that?
What's that?
What year was that?
What year was it?
Yeah,
I think it was around 92 or 93.
Wow. That sounds about right. That's a long time ago. You've had that guitar this whole time?
Yes, as a matter of fact, this is the guitar that I played, recorded all the Psycho Love Tribe stuff with, played through all the bands and everything. And it was just it was kind of funny because it sat for about 15 years collecting dust, and I never got rid of it. But at one point I pulled it out, tore everything off of it, and posted on Facebook, and everybody was like, "Oh shit, I remember that guitar. Oh man," it was a big deal. And I took it to Mike Metz at Thesis Audio, and he totally, he blew my mind because I just asked him I needed some electronics work done. He rebuilt it completely, put in new pickups, and then not only did he rebuild it, but he like polished all the scratches he could out of it, cleaned it up. I mean, like did massive amount of work. And
probably excited to work on something like that.
He told me, man,
you get something like that in your shop, you're like stoked. Like, oh, I'm gonna make this beautiful.
Like, for about a week, and he said there was several people that came by and was like, "Oh my gosh, dude, is that a black gem?" You know, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's cool." And yeah, man, it was. You know, I just wanted to bring it up because Mike he went so far beyond, you know, what I asked him to do, and I think there was a little bit of nostalgia there. But it was kind of cool, man. So I got it all put back together and rebuilt, and now it's like an everyday player again, and it's kind of cool. At one point, I remember I was playing in a band, and at one point, you know, they were kind of like, "Dude, that guitar is kind of cheesy. You know, why don't you get a Les Paul or something?" Or, you know, it was just that whole vibe where everybody's playing, you know, Nirvana, playing Jaguars, and Mustangs and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, well, don't bag on my guitar."
No pointy guitars allowed.
No pointy guitars. Remember, pointy guitars give you VD. That's the truth.
Really?
Pointy guitars will give you VD. That's the truth. So, you know, that was the attitude back then. But now it's kind of regained a little bit of status. And it's funny, I saw one for sale. I haven't seen many black ones. They were kind of rare. But I saw one for sale, and it was in the Netherlands, and it was on eBay, and they wanted $4,000 for it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't signed by Steve Vai.
Yeah. that's another 4,000.
I think, you know.
Yeah, that's $8,000 guitar, dude.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. So anyway, that was just kind of funny, and somebody had brought it up, and I just thought about that whole story. It was just something I thought was kind of interesting. Not so much the Vai signing, but the way that it's kind of reversed. You know, it's like there's a new small wave of guitar virtuosity and that 80s shredding that's coming back a little bit, and it's cool. You know, and I like the.
So out here in Richmond, we have a lot of bands that are metal bands, like, you know, Guars from here, Iron Reagan, Municipal Waste. Like, these guys are all like shredders, and they're good, and they're fun to go see. Like, it's amazing. It's a whole scene out here, and it's really cool, like, to see. And it's got me back into like some of that like mid 80s like metal stuff, you know. And I'm listening to some of that again, and like I'm listening to, well, really a lot now. I'm listening to like what they call stoner doom metal. You know, bands like like I listen to a lot of that stuff now. Like, it's just so Electric Wizard and stuff like that. Like,
that's great.
It's great stuff. Yeah. So that moving here has turned me back onto that kind of music again, because there's so many of those bands out here now. Like, and some of them have pointy guitars.
Well, of course. No, the pointy guitars, bro. It's back.
I'm not going to say they give you VD. They probably attract it, though. So you just have to be careful when you have a pointy guitar.
Now, Joe, philosophically, I've come to this conclusion that, you know, if you go around saying, "I attract crazy women, I attract VD," that means you're seeking it. That really means
it means you're attracted to it.
I'm telling you, no, it's really, I've really come to that way of thinking. You know, I keep telling myself, how do I end up with all these crazy girls? I'm looking for them. That's why.
I'm actually seeking that.
I'm seeking
somewhere.
I'm self-sabotaging every time I'm doing it. So you know, to say that. Go ahead.
Speaking of self-sabotage, what are you doing these days?
Working
for music-wise. Are you doing anything with music right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, this is funny too, and I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, they won't get it, but you know, Dead O has restarted a kind of comeback, and they got all back together, all the original members, and they played a show, and people came from all over the United States, and it was friggin' awesome, because some people may know a little bit about Marshall Kilpatrick was a drummer for Dead O for a while, and he went on to play with Westmoreland in Black Light Burns. They did that Westmoreland from Limp Bizkit.
Oh, and, okay.
Yeah, and he's an amazing drummer. And I mean, you know, Dead O had two amazing drummers in their band, and Grant, of course, he's a legend in this town, of course, and Marshall is still. So all these guys showed back up, you know, and it's like, and I reconnected with Kobe Katie and a whole bunch of people, but it was just a mixed mash of all of those people from the scene back in the day. And some of them, you know, were extremely talented and stuff. So hanging out with Dead O and stuff. And I literally started going to all the shows and hanging out. And I mean, I've been hanging out with those guys since way back in the day. Me and Joel and Miles have stayed friends, but we haven't really played much. But one day, Joel invited me over to a studio. It was a birthday party, and I went over there, and there was this guy who has built this studio in his backyard, and it's pretty amazing. It's just like he's got this whole studio he built in a shed out in his backyard, and it was really great. And Joel was like, "It's time to throw down some tracks," and I was like, "Yeah, give me a guitar," and he was like, "Okay," and then he told me to calm down about 8 or 9 times. So, and
my wizard's fingery.
I was, it's funny is that people have a memory of playing, and then I don't think a lot of people realize that I never quit playing. I mean, I think I'm probably 10 times better than I was back in the day, so it's like, and I've always just challenged myself. I went on a stretch there where I was just trying to learn like Merle Travis and a lot of weird picking styles and finger picking styles and bluegrass stuff, and that all just kind of starts getting incorporated. And then people hear me play now and they go, what was that? Because it's like, people don't imagine me playing bluegrass or imagine me playing. And I mean, here lately, I got all inspired by Kiko Lorio from Megadeth's new guitar player. That guy is,
I haven't heard
he's a monster. He's an absolutely unbelievable player. And he plays flamenco and Spanish style guitar, and a lot of finger picking stuff. And I was like, oh, I got to learn that stuff. I got to do that, And there's just a lot of stuff like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when, Ingrid Malmsteen made everybody want to throw his guitar out the window, and guys like Tony McAlpine and stuff that were doing all that neoclassical stuff. I would have never touched that with a 10-foot pole because I was like, it's just beyond me. Now it's not. I mean, I'm like, I learned like McAlpine songs note for note and stuff now. So then people hear that and they're like, what? What the heck?
I think to lay some groundwork here, I don't know like who's watching this or not watching it, but Michael J. Lacey used to play with Music Man Mike in a band called Love and Rotation. He's been on this show before. So this is kind of his part 2 episode because I missed the first one. So now it's just me and Mike this time, and it was Mike and Mike last time. So, but yeah, Mike Lacey used to play with Zach, who was also in Love and Rotation. We had him on last week. That was awesome. That was really fun. Yeah. Did you see that one?
I did, absolutely, man. I wouldn't have missed it. I haven't stayed in contact with Zach that much, but it's so fun to see him and hear him talking and stuff. And
he still has the same sense of humor, still has that goofy smile, still Zach, man.
Back in time, it was so weird. Yeah, and it's like, he's such a positive guy, man. I mean, I really admire what he's done and stuff, and I think it's awesome, and it's just really fun to see him and hear him talking. Although me and Mike did have a quick conversation this morning about, I was like, yeah, it was really fun to watch. I was like, but his memory of how stuff went isn't quite what I remember.
No one's is.
He goes, we'll get too on that. He goes, we'll get back on and we'll hash that out. And I was like, no one cares, bro.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Yeah, I don't
but
think
it was fun to listen to it, and it was fun to get his perspective. It was kind of funny. And then the one before that too, he had on his other guitar player. I can't remember his name. His name's Zach too, isn't it?
Zach. I know who you're talking about. I don't know the guy's name.
That was fun, and I listened to that one too, and I texted Mike and I was like, thanks for not painting me out to be a complete asshole, but that's kind of the gist of it a little bit. Everybody was very nice, it was like, but it was funny to listen to Zach talking about his memories of me, which was, I don't know, it was interesting, but I'm glad he didn't go
honestly, though, the thing that you were doing, you were trying to advance not just your guitar playing, but like the music that you were getting involved in was changing, whereas Mike and Zach's kind of stayed the same, and to this day, like Mike will tell you, he still listens to the same music he did back then to this day.
Right.
Whereas like people like me and you, we keep going and like trying to find new stuff. And that's what those guys didn't do. So that, so that's musical differences.
It's weird. Yeah, it is. No, and it's pretty accurate in a way, I mean, it's like, I don't dispute the way anybody kind of talked about the evolution of what was happening with the band and stuff, but on a larger point, it's really funny because, I was driving towards something, I wasn't sure what it was,
Right.
but every time I heard something new, I was kind of like, huh, that's more like what I want to do. That's more like what I want to do. And it's really funny. It came out, to a point, and it was after Love and Rotation, even it was when I got into the Diesel Crutch band. I felt like I was right on the brink of something, and we went in and recorded a demo, and literally the week after that, I was working at Blockbuster Music, and they sent out promotional CDs, and this promotional CD hit my desk, and I plugged it in, and I went, man, that's it. That is what I've been trying to do. And you know who it was?
What was it?
Corn. Friggin' corn. Corn.
Oh Lord. That was what you were trying to accomplish.
It was. It was like I heard the first time I heard Korn's first CD, and it was a promotional. No one had heard of him yet. And I just went, "Oh my God, that is exactly that." I wanted to be that band, and it was like I really had this weird feeling of like, and I went through all these evolutions of hip hop and punk, and I remember NoFX was a big influence on me at that time as well, And I was kept driving towards, and I was pulling little pieces, and I was picking stuff out of Ministry, KMFDM, Marilyn Manson. I was really into a lot of the industrial stuff and all this, and then Korn hit my desk, and I went, crap, that is exactly. And what's really funny is I go back and I listen to the first demo tape that we did with Billy Graves, and there is little elements of Korn in that. And I was like, I was right. They just did it so much better and so much quicker than I did, apparently, and they were killing it in Bakersfield, California, and I'm like, man, when I heard that, I was like, oh, dude, Korn was, that was that. And in a way, it almost made me go, well, shit, there you go. They did it.
I'm done.
They win. Yeah, they win. I was like, God, that's the sound I've been going for. It just hit me like, oh crap, that's the band I wanted to be in. It was so bad. It was a little bit. And then people heard our demo and heard our music, and they were kind of like, man, you guys kind of got a Korn influence. And I was like, no, not really. But
I hate that.
It was kind of a parallel, which of course, I would never take anything away from. But it was kind of like, man, I just felt like, wow, that's if I had heard that, a year earlier, I would have been like that, man. It was just kind of one of those things. Like,
I remember I was living in Phoenix when you went on to do the Diesel Crutch and Psycho Love Tribe. I can't remember which came. Diesel Crutch was first, right?
No, it was Psycho Love Tribe. That was, when Mike left the band, we changed the name to Psycho Love Tribe, and Zach kind of had it wrong. It was me, Zach, and Chad, and then Chad went first, and we got Kobe, and Zach played with Kobe. He remembered that.
Saying that,
yeah, and then it was Zach, and then Zach was gone, and it was Sean, and he remembers it as that we had replaced. He was like, I heard that they auditioned Sean, and I left, and I was like, yeah, and he was right. He was kind of on his way out at the same time. I mean, he wasn't, and he said it on his podcast as well. His heart wasn't really into it. I mean, he wasn't really. Although I remember he was pissed. He was seriously pissed when we told him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy, and he was pissed because Sean was his friend, and I remember him telling us we were getting ready to go in the studio to record the Psycho Love Tribe little EP or whatever, and we didn't feel like Zach was going to show up. I mean, it was just questionable. I mean, he was just not. He wasn't wanting to do it. It didn't seem like, and so we asked Sean if he would do it, and that was the only stipulation. Was like, if we can't get Zach to come in the studio, would you be willing to step in and do it? And he was like, yeah, but that's it. I don't like you guys, and I think I touched on that. No one wanted to be in that band. I mean, it was kind of like, Tony Fortner originally. I think Tony wanted to be in the band. I think he was the only one that, and he kind of. But when it came to getting rid of Chad, Kobe didn't want to be in the band. We had to beg him. I mean, literally. And if it wouldn't have been for the Deado guys and for Randy Bannon convincing him that, yeah, this is a good idea. He didn't want to be, I mean, we were kind of outcasts, even at that point. And it was like, and so, yeah, we had to convince Kobe, and then Sean just agreed to come in the studio. That's it. He wasn't going to play with us. So we were on the impression that if Zach doesn't want to do it, we've got Sean to do it, and then we'll find a bass player. And Zach was pissed. He was seriously pissed. And then he told us, he was like, I remember him telling us, he was like, that's fine. You go get Sean to play on your stupid tape and whatever, but he's not going to be in the band.
Stupid tape.
Yeah. And I was like,
band.
And he's like, he's not going to play in your band. You guys are idiots, And so it was like, and I agreed. I was like, well, we never planned on having him in the band, so it's cool. But then he did.
I can't remember what year it was, but I came back from Phoenix to visit one time, and at that point, like when I left, you were like more into like Jane's Addiction stuff. Like, Dave Navarro was, I still love Dave Navarro.
Right.
And then when I came to visit, at that point, you were into like stuff like Biohazard, Clutch, which I love Clutch too. Like, so yeah, like you can see there was a difference in what you were listening to and what they were listening to. So it was inevitable that was just part of the deal. Like,
right. And I feel like though that's where music was kind of evolving though. And you could kind of go down that path. And this was at that point, at the Psycho Love Tribe point, you were kind of either in the metal camp, like you were listening to Biohazard and Prong and Helmet and
Prong. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of prog rock metal that was going on. We were into Acid Drinkers and then and that's where like Dead O's thing was at that point too. And what we shared in common with them was we all loved the Red Hot Chili Peppers at that point. That's when Blood Sugar Sex Magic first came out.
Yeah.
And that album was really kind of crossing, and Henry Rollins was really big at that point as well. And so you were going that direction. Well, and then Dead O kind of had the whole Biohazard sort of vibe going, Agnostic Front, Cannibal Corpse, that was their deal. And then we found bands like 24/7 Spies and Follow for Now and more of the funk type thing. And there was like these really cool, and it's still my jam, I love like Robert Randolph and that play this sort of gospel sort of uplifting.
I saw them in Seattle one time. It blew my mind.
Oh my God, Robert Randolph he is just the bomb, man. I love him, and it's such uplifting music, but God, he is a player. And it's good. It's rock, man. He's really awesome. And so we start finding these bands, and that's how we start self-identifying away from like Dead O, was we became more of I didn't want to be into the doom and gloom, but I like the hard music. Have you ever heard, I think Skin Dread is another band I just really love. They play kind of reggae metal it's friggin' amazing, So, and to this day, I've never been into I like a lot of the industrial music and stuff like that, but that was at that time, just to kind of identify, and I think every band kind of has to have a direction or identity that maybe is not completely original. Nothing's original. it's all been done to some extent. So, and it's funny today, even when I jam with people, and I do from time to time, and more lately than ever, and I'm like, I'll just tell them, I'll say, pick a cover song, just pick one cover song, and they're like, well, no, let's just write some stuff. I'm like, that'll never work. Let's not just sit down and masturbate. Let's tell me what you like. Tell me your favorite cover song, and let's do it. Because that's where things start to evolve from. If you don't have
to say that. Yep.
If you don't have, somewhere to start. And I can remember with Mike, it was Sex Pistols. That was the one thing we had in common. The very first thing I think that he and I
jammed. That's right. I remember that.
Anarchy in the UK and Bodies, and that was.
What a choice. Why? Who came up with that idea anyway?
I do that.
It's just a weird choice of a Sex Pistols song. It's great.
Right.
That was like, where did that come from?
I know, right? And it's the beauty of it. It was kind of an off thing, It was like, oh, hey, this is, we're all in. We all dig that song. Oh, that's cool, So that's kind of where it all starts from. And like I said, with Mike, it was definitely Sex Pistols, because you're right. Even at that point, he was into a lot of classic rock and stuff that I wasn't familiar. I didn't really, care about. we had the Guns N' Roses thing in common, but he wasn't really a big Guns N' Roses guy either, I mean, but we did connect on that, on the Sex Pistols thing. We definitely connected on that, which was a good starting point. It's like that's how the band starts evolving, and then you start learning a little bit about what each other likes and does. And today that comes as a foreign concept to people, and I'll tell people but I stick by it because people will be like, "Hey, let's jam," and I'm like, "No, I don't want to sit in a room and just play random crap." It's such a waste of time. It's like start with something. Give me a cover.
That's a good point.
Give me somewhere to go with it. And it may not even be something I like, but, if they come up with something absolutely ridiculous, like, let's do Inner Sandman or something, I'll be like, no, just leave. But
I gotta go. See you later.
Don't come to me with Metallica or Bob Seger.
Wow. Went on the Bob Seger trailer. That's nice.
We're done. We're done at that point, for sure.
Uh-oh. The boss is on. What's up, Rick? I can't hear you, man.
I can't either.
Yeah.
This is funny. We can put words in his mouth. So this is the new Pocket 50. Here we go.
Were we talking about the weather or something? Did we do something wrong?
No, y'all doing a fine job. I feel like I'm talking to Wilson though. From I can only see Lacey's half his face, right now. Home Improvement guy. Where are the rest of you at? I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I can't even see the top of his head.
Trying to get this camera angle right has been a little bit of a struggle for me.
There you go. Hey, I was watching a replay of the one with a couple weeks ago. Who's a guy,
Zach.
Christian guy now up in Kansas City? Zach. Yeah, Zach used to have He had the long hair, but I heard a wig conversation. Do y'all wear wig? Were y'all wearing wigs?
Oh, that's so funny. I want to expand on that because I think Zach was a little inaccurate on that one too. But they had this band, and they had. No, I think
it was hilarious.
Yeah, they had one guy in the band that was older dude, and I remember seeing it was Night Train was the name of the band. Zach couldn't remember. It was Night Train, and I went to see them, and that was when Ian Ottaway was playing. Van Powell was their guitar player. Brad Robinson was the drummer, and Zach was on bass. And I went and saw him at Rock Island, and they were doing like a showcase thing where they were playing 3 songs. And this dude walks out with a Tina Turner looking wig. It was one of those straight with the spikes like up at the top and straight black hair. And it was just so blatantly obvious that I was like, this has got to be a joke. You've got to be kidding me with this. It was so funny. And
Ryan was serious. There was no joking. he was Axl Rose that night.
Ian's the one who made him wear the wig. And I was like, "Are you serious? This is just so funny." It was like I didn't know whether to take it as a joke or like it was so over the top that it was like this has to be planned. It would be like if I came on stage with a gas mask. It was obviously it was a prop. But this guy's wearing it and to this day, I almost think he thought that was cool. That was better than being thin on top, I guess.
So funny story with that. When I saw that video, I shared it with Brad Robinson. So I knew Brad not as a drummer, but Brad worked with me at Airborne Express years and years ago up at the airport. So I knew Brad as soon as y'all said that. I remembered him, and he used to talk about playing the drums, and I guess he had like sissy hands too, because I guess they would always start bleeding. He had his hands weren't tough like I guess a real drummer's hands should be. I think he actually blamed that on the reason why he lost a job or two as a drummer is because his hands weren't tough enough. They would like bleed when he was drumming or something like that.
No, that's not why he lost it. Brad, right now, that's not what happened. Brad was so funny. When I joined that band, Brad was the drummer. Originally, it was me and Zach and Brad and Ian. And Brad showed up for practice and passed out on his drum set. And I was like, I looked at Ian and Zach and I went, I'm not joining this band. And he was like, and Brad was very apologetic the next day. And he was like, dude, he was graduating. He was graduating high school that week. And he was partying his face off. And I think he would admit it to this day that he was in no shape. And we had like a gig, like our first show, like in a week. And it was like, we need to find somebody. And Chad, was around. But originally, Brad started out as our drummer. which is just hilarious. Oh,
Is anyone there?
There we go. I think we lost somebody. There we go. Hey, Joe, but going back to the rock days, I don't know, he's sideways now. I don't know what's going on there, but going back to your guys' days, I remember getting into can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I remember going into the Silver Bullet with you and Mike. I think you were, at that time, you were doing the audio, helping with the audio, the cameras maybe as well. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Lights?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, lights, camera.
That was cool. I mean, y'all were like stars. I mean, obviously, you all hung out at that bar way too much. And, but being the kid brother of a couple of rockers wasn't a bad gig either, I'll tell you. I was the gatekeeper. Hey, it all comes through me, ladies. You know what?
You need a backstage pass? Rick's got him. He's got the laminates.
Golly. So no, I don't know what happened to Mike. I didn't know. I just remember watching him and watching the bands and Lacey and Zach and all that. So Zach's doing some Christian stuff. Good for him up in Kansas City now. Not too far from.
He's doing really good, man.
Not too far from Wichita. He had a good voice. I mean, he's still a good looking man. Still. Because I can imagine that dude back in the day. I'm just going to tell you, producer. I know you're listening, but that guy is a high school. He was in hog heaven. I mean, in a rock band, just hanging out at bars and all that.
Ladies all over him because he's like this beautiful blonde boy, like he had that white long hair.
For real, man. No doubt.
Which was something that we didn't get into in that show, which I wanted to bring up, was me and Mike, Santiago, Music Man Mike. Me, Mike, and Zach, all three of us went to go see NWA back in the day. Zach is the whitest human being you could imagine. He's like white hair, pale face, and we walk in and everyone's just looking at Zach. Like they're just all like, what is that? This 16-year-old kid going to see NWA. We were the only three white males there.
I can.
Because back then, like you didn't go to shows like that. You just that wasn't a thing.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I remember David. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you knew this. I don't even know if Zach was part of that, but your brother David. He thought about singing for one of those bands. Did you remember any of that? Well, I think it was Lacey or maybe Zach trying to hang out with those guys, and he tried to be a lead singer. And the song that he sung, or he was gonna sing, he sung the song. I don't know if it was like his tryout song was Skid Row. I'm thinking, dude, seriously?
Oh my God.
You chose Skid Row.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it was "I Remember You" of all the things. I mean, can you imagine trying to scream like that, dude? Seriously, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's insane. I can't even imagine trying to sing any Sebastian Bach whatsoever.
No, I mean that's who Zach reminded me of, kind of Sebastian Bach, right? Just the way his look, the long hair, just not as white. Yeah. I mean, Zach's hair definitely is a little blonder than that, but. That was cool seeing y'all do all that, and y'all were just rockers though. And again, I didn't, I'd listen to it with y'all, but I would, I was leaning more towards, you guys Men at Work, you all would listen to Judas Priest, and I would like, all right, how about y'all check out this new Men at Work tape or album,
which is still listenable. I can listen to Men at Work. I don't.
Oh God, dog, man. Well, I don't know. I got a call at 10:30. I wanted to hop in here and say hi. I hope I didn't kick. Mike's probably like, that's BS, man. The dude comes in and kicks me off the show and takes it over. I don't know what happened to him. I had nothing to do with this thing. I just came up. I really think that something was wrong with his computer. That's why we were only seeing this much of him.
Yeah.
And then when he opened it up, you
could see his mouth.
Crashed.
You just see him like.
I was watching this. I was like, where's the rest of his face at? I mean, he looks so uncomfortable. Like, he's like, are you in school? Are you trying to hide so nobody sees you on this call right now?
He's supposed to be in bed.
Yeah. All right, Joe, I'm out of here. Hey, good seeing you, producer. Can we wrap it up? Joe, do you all have like a sign off or anything like that? Like, how do you sign off?
I don't think I can do it on this show.
This is
We have the intro that I use. The outro is typically how we sign it off, so we'll be okay.
All right, well, everyone, have a good one. Thanks for having me on, and I'll see y'all later.
All right, Schmo. Later, buddy.
All right.
I want to rock.